Hey guys, how are you? Welcome back to my garden account. In today's video, I'm taking you with me indoors. Actually, we are taking you indoors because Alfie is with me into the freshly renovated ground floor of the house. And what I want to do in today's video is something that I never did before. And I just want to try and test it out and how you react to it and how you like it moving forward. So what I want to do is I took some of your really lovely questions and comments and I want to reply to them in a video rather than just always sending a message, because sometimes honestly I'm really far behind with replying to all of your messages. So first of all, I just want to say thank you so much for all of your lovely comments. I'm so lucky because going out on social media, you never really know where you end up. It's kind of a double-edged sword. So far I really received a lot of really nice, lovely comments. So thank you so much for all of the support that I'm receiving from all of you. But let's go straight into how I want to cluster today's video. And now comes the moment of truth because I'm wearing glasses. I think you never really saw me wearing glasses if I'm wrong, because I'm short-sighted and the laptop is already too far away from me. So I just copy and pasted some of your questions and I just want to read them. And then if I have a matching photo, I want to give the photo just like in the video with a species name, because some of you asked for specific kind of plants, or I will definitely give you all those species names at the end of this video, so you can always go back and Google it. First two questions, actually, they came from Merim K. I hope I say your name correctly, from New York, and you just recently commented on one of my garden tour videos from pretty much a year ago, and you said, "Hi Daniel, I just discovered your videos and I love them. Thank you so much." Thank you. Can you please let me know the name of the pale pink rose in the beginning of this video? I couldn't make the name. Thank you, Merim from New York. Yes, that rose, I think I referred to it maybe once or twice in separate videos. I really love it. It is a rose rugosa hybrid by the name Therese Bugnet. I will give you the name down here. And I really want to point it out because it is a very vigorous, strong, perfect rose here in the garden. It is a double, something that I don't always do with roses or with plants in general. Most of the time I try to find those plants that are very open and the pollen is exposed for wildlife. But even though that they are double, at one point those petals, they're really open and you can see the pollen. So I still think it is one of those plants that produces double flowers that is really beneficial for wildlife. The beauty of it really is, well, it is a rose, it flowers beautifully, it has really lovely blooms. They start in a darker pink and then they fade away to really lovely soft pink. They start flowering quite early, very long into the season. They have a scent and all of that is beautiful. But what really attracted me is a winter interest that they bring to the garden. And this is something that I can really see now at this time of the year, because the stems of that rose, they are burgundy red, really beautiful dark red, quite prickly though. This is the one thing you need to know. But other than dogwood, for example, where mature stems, they kind of start to change color and the color fades away. I have these roses now for 2.5 years, I believe, or 2 years. And all of the old stems are still looking fantastic. They're not losing the color and they really look really wonderful now, especially on a grim dark grey like today, where the sun comes out occasionally. But you can really see those stems when you walk through the garden and they really have all year interest. And what is really wonderful about rose rugosa, I'm not a big expert in growing roses per se, but I have a couple of roses now in the garden. And I figured that here on the south coast of the Baltic Sea, I garden in a zone 7B. And it is a very sandy, well-drained soil. And rose rugosa, they really love it here. They're very vigorous. They don't have any kind of disease. I have no issue with like wilting leaves or with like the rust on the leaves. They're always perfect. I don't really have to do anything with those roses, and I never even really cut them back. I just plant them, I let them be, they are happy, and that's it. So perfect rose. They grow 1.50 meters in height, which is roughly like here, I think, with inches and feet. I try my best. I'm so bad in it though, even though, well, my parents lived in Florida for many years. I should be better, but I'm really not. So this is hopefully helping you with that rose. It's definitely worth introducing it to your garden. Second question, also from Merim K. Could you also tell me the name of the Aquilegia, please? Specifically the pale pink one. Thank you. Yes, I can. I had a couple of years ago, probably 5-6 years ago, a momentum when I totally fell in love with Aquilegia, and I ordered bulk of seed, like really a lot of them. And the pink one is also one of my favorite. This is called Pink Flamingo. I ordered it back then in the UK from Plant World Seeds, if I'm not wrong. I just quickly checked, they don't carry the seed anymore, unfortunately. But if you get your hand on Pink Flamingo, I think it's really worth it because they're very vigorous, and what is nice, they produce very long stems, very simple but really beautiful flowers, and they're also perfect for cut flowers because those stems are so long. You can always incorporate them in a flower bouquet where you have flowers that in general have like bigger flower stems. So really beautiful, great Aquilegia. Speaking of Aquilegia, I couldn't find the comment anymore. A while ago, I had a little conversation with one of you guys about Aquilegia and a question if those root cuttings that I took last year actually worked out, because I never really did a follow-up video and there's a reason for it. It didn't really work out. Like the ones that were in the container were really not a success, but then I had some of those root cuttings that I just like pushed back into the ground, and some of those, surprisingly, started to bulk out again and produce leaves. So don't do it in the containers, but in the soil, some of them worked. Funnily enough, I don't know why there was a difference with that. But then within the conversation, you also said like, oh, you heard that you can't transplant Aquilegia. I never heard that before. And to be honest, I always transplant them. I've even transplanted Aquilegia when they were in full bloom. The one thing that you need to make sure is they have fleshy big roots, and I always come in with a big garden fork. So always just try to lift it from all the sides. So really get all the roots, so I'm not losing any of those big fleshy roots. And when I transplant, I always try to make sure that a lot of the soil that is around it still stays in a clump on it. So normally when I do transplant, I try to do it on a day when the previous days there was rain, so the soil is still nice and moist and clings to the roots, so it's not like all crumbly and dry and falls apart. But generally, you can transplant Aquilegia. It really does work. I've even done it when they were in full bloom here, and they're happy, they're thriving, so that works for sure. Next question, oh, that was a nice one, from BCR. Hello, what is the breed of your dog? So cute. She is so cute, isn't she? So this is Alfie, just in case you haven't met her, and it's a she. I know the name is a little misguiding. Alfie comes from Alf, my favorite TV series from the 80s. Yeah, you can go back to sleep now. She's a Maltipoo. So she is a crossbreed between a Maltese and a dwarf poodle. And when you have a dog like this, the character, you have a little chance of like, well, it can be more like a poodle, which is more agile and quite clever, or it can be more like a Maltese, which is a little more comfy. And she definitely is more like a poodle. It's like we walk every morning for 1 hour, and even after that, she's still full of energy. She's very, very playful. She's very friendly also. So really, if you want to have a dog that you can travel with, I don't know, depending on where you live, obviously, in Europe or European Union, there is a law. If you have a dog that is with the traveling bag under 8 kilograms, you can take it with you in the cabin of an aircraft, and she is 6.8 kilograms. So with a bag, I'm well in range, so I can always travel with her and take her with me into the plane. So this is something which is definitely, or was quite important for me. And she's just a lovely, lovely dog, a lovely character. She doesn't really do anything bad. And she's not one of those tiny dogs where you might have problems with like eyes tearing or that she can't breathe properly. Very healthy. We were just at the vet a week ago. So definitely love of my life, really beautiful, cute little dog. Then the next one, that was a longer message, really lovely. Sarah Santa Clara, now living in Poland. Thank you for your videos. I recently found your channel. It's great to find an English language local channel. I'm in Szczecin, which is in the west of Poland. I'm also at the north part. I have a question. I think you mentioned that one of the islands in your front garden is around a walnut tree. Did I hear correctly? You did. If so, can you tell me what you're growing there? I have a mature walnut tree in my garden and I struggle to grow anything around it. Thank you. This is a really good question because I've been asked that a lot of times, and I think this year I might really finally do a specific video only dedicated to that. But honestly, I have an island bed in the midsection of the garden with 2 mature walnut trees even. And when I underplanted it, I had no idea that apparently it is complicated to plant anything under walnut trees. One thing that I did, and this is what I always do whenever I start a new border in the garden, is I improve the soil. Carol Klein from Gardener's World, Great British Gardens, from all of her books, I mean, she's an amazing gardener from the UK, once said a sentence that always sticks to my mind is like, I don't feed my plants, I feed my soil, and this is exactly what I do. So before I plant anything, I always make sure that I prepare the soil with fresh garden compost, fresh garden soil, with organic bone chips. They break down to nitrogen, which is really good. It feeds your plants and the roots of your plants. So this is something that I did underneath the walnut tree. So I came in with a lot of good fresh soil. And then what I figured over the years is two different things. Number one is like whatever you plant, there has to be kind of sturdy, and it has to tolerate moments when it is dry, and it should not be anything that really requires an ample good amount of water. So something like an hydrangea really is a bad idea for walnut trees. Second thing that I realize is whenever you plant something, try to find any kind of perennial or grass that is very close to its natural form, like native plants, wild growing plants. They work really well there. So some of my go-to plants are, when it comes to grasses, anything that is Calamagrostis works perfectly. Anything that was Panicum also works really well there. I have Pennisetum, red Mohican redhead, if I'm not wrong, something like this. Also works extremely well there. I struggled with miscanthus, so that is definitely a no-go. I have two miscanthus there. They are okay, but they're really not as great as they are in other areas of the garden. So miscanthus is like not so great. When you want to plant any kind of shrubs, this is a little complicated. Rose rugosa works perfectly there. I've got a native form there, so they are very vigorous and very happy. Other roses, they're not super happy. I've got one rambler though, which grows right next to the stem or the trunk of the tree and grows into the walnut tree. It's probably like 5 to 8 meters of rose right now, so which is beautiful, because at one point during summer, the walnut tree really has like all these white flowers inside, which I absolutely love and adore. So that works fairly well. Then perennials, one of my absolute go-to perennials is Aster Asran. It is an Asian native aster, and the beauty of Aster Asran is you can throw it anywhere in your garden, and trust me, it is going to grow. Like dry shade, it will make it. Full sun and dry climate, it will make it. I have it in all different locations of the garden. It's very vigorous though, so this you really need to do some size control with that aster. Sedum Matrona also works really well underneath the walnut tree. Bearded iris, also very happy there. I grow 2 big clumps of bearded iris called English Cottage, because they are a rebloomer, which I always love. That doesn't happen too often on bearded iris, and I have a really nice color. It's like white with a little bit of a pale blue, very delicate, very nice, like if you go into summer, so it's just like a breath of fresh air in your borders, really. Then Persicaria or Bistorta, never really know which. You can Google them, both species names seem to be right apparently. I grow 3 different varieties and they're all red flowering. They're all very happy. So I've got Taurus, Firetail and JS Calor. And Taurus grows, that grows straight at the trunk of the walnut tree in the back, and is very vigorous. Like it spreads itself, seeds, it produces massive clumps. So really happy, really vigorous. So those are my advices for underplanting walnut trees, and it always works extremely well, at least here in my garden. As long as you prepare the soil, I think this was definitely key to how I made it work underneath the walnut tree. Then the next comment, Line Bordeaux. You always comment so much. Thank you so much. I really love it. And you're also one of my earliest followers here on my channel. That was with a video where I showed you my new kitchen garden. Down by the slope, if you remember, I did a little tour where I just showed you what I did, how I prepared it, built a little fence, how I leveled out, how I removed all of the elders and what I'm moving into. I've already worked there, so I'm going to tour you around and show you in a moment, not in a moment, but in one of my other videos now, how I'm going to move forward in this area. Really exciting. But you said, good morning, great work in no man's land. I know, thank you. The work continues, trust me. I love the fence that separates the farm. Do you plan on taking it all the way down the area you planned last summer? That would look fantastic. And then your message continues, yes, it would look so fantastic. But you know what? It was a carload full of willow branches. And to be honest, I'm not quite sure if this was foraging or stealing at this point. I mean, there is a big clump of willows growing really wildly, and that nobody lives there. So it was kind of just like, well, does it belong to anybody? Does it not belong to anybody? And I stepped in and checked it, and it was like, well, nobody ever cuts them. It was not that they're growing for like any kind of production. And historically here, in between the farmlands, you have a lot of those willows. I'm not sure how you call it in English now. You have the big trunk, and then you have this kind of just like big ball on top, and from there all the branches come out. And then every year you would cut it to produce like wicker, like baskets or stools or something, which doesn't happen here anymore. So a lot of those willows, actually, they're so overgrown and they're just like really, they can't support the weight, so they just break in the middle, really sadly. So those willows that I took are from another area. But no, I'm not going to continue with the fence. I just really wanted to frame in the vegetable garden. For the rest, I want to keep it also open because as I'm just like really working in this area right now, I tried to incorporate a little area for some seating. All right, there was a mailman, so I'm going to make a cut there because I was like, okay, this is almost the end of the video. I'm not going to start all over again. I ordered something exciting for the garden though, so can't wait to unpack and show you in one of my future videos what I actually ordered. So a little sneak peek. It's always nice when mail gets delivered. So yeah, coming back to your question, no, I'm not going to continue with the fence because I want to keep the other area open. I'm not sure if I said it. I want to do a little seating area there, which I'm just like trying to find the lines. I'm really prepared a lot in this area. And I don't want to say too much, but yeah, I just really want to keep it open there and no more fencing along the side. But yeah, for the vegetable garden, I thought it was cute, right? I really like it. I'm really happy when I go down there. It's like one of those happy spaces in the garden now, probably also because it is very interactive and I just do a lot there. Can't wait to start planting with you then. Also on the slope, I've mapped out everything. I started my sowing already indoors a little bit, so very happy. Last comment from Mary Pavlik. Just found your site, will follow. Thank you. Thank you so much if you subscribe to my channel. This is such lovely for me. Perhaps someone has mentioned this concerning Baptisia. No, you're the first one. They have a taproot and once planted don't like being disturbed. They are native to the Great Plains in the US where I live. One of my favorites. I'm starting them using a winter sowing method, somewhat different than yours. Any questions, let me know. Thank you so much. Really interesting. Really good comment with that you shouldn't transplant them. I think that they are kind of similar to lupins, I guess, which you can't kind of transplant. I did it once or twice. I don't really grow a lot of lupins because lupins are always beautiful like in the first half of the year and then they just really fizzle out not very gracefully, and this is why I kind of said bye-bye to lupins, and this is why I tried Baptisia in the garden this year. Very, very interesting. Thank you for the comment. One thing, I also chose this comment because I realized that a lot of the plants that grow very well here in my garden originate from the US or from the north of America in general. Also some shrubs, perennials, heleniums are very happy here. So this is really a thing that the climate conditions and the soil must be very similar. And this is why it really works out. A lot of the plants that come originally from Asia really struggle here. Sometimes I figure that the soil conditions are not right. And for example, one of the plants that I love in gardens, but I don't like it, a Japanese Acer. I have one in the front garden, which I try. But yeah, this is my last comment for you. I'm so excited about the Baptisia. They're still sitting outside. I put them in my brand new cold frame now, and let's see what happens. They're not germinating yet because it's still way too cold. We just had frost in the garden, but love it. Thank you for such kind of comments, by the way, because whenever you have a good advice for me, and especially like when you're like, well, they are native to where I live, and this is what I can tell you about it, that always helps me, because as we say, sharing is caring. And you know what? That's it for today's video. Just let me know how you find a video like this every now and then. No worries, I'm not going to make it a weekly thing. This is just going to happen every now and then. And just really going to take out some of those comments where I think like, oh, they're interesting, they might be good for a lot of you, or when there are some of those questions that I hear over and over again where I realize, okay, this is definitely something that just concerns a lot of you guys. So all I can say now is thank you so much for watching today's video. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel, honestly, I'm really, really happy if you give me a thumbs up and if you subscribe to my channel. And I would love to welcome you next time around in my garden. Take care, guys. Bye.